folks, welcome to my channel, and for this video I'm going to be doing another book review. So for this video I'm going to be looking at The Colour Purple by Alice Walker, which, as we all know, is an icon of American fiction. And I've not seen the movie, but maybe that could be the next thing on my list to do, is to actually watch the movie version of The Colour Purple. But before I get on to that, maybe a wee bit of housekeeping first. If you are enjoying my videos, if you are enjoying my channel, if you can click on that subscribe button, click on that notification bell, leave some likes, leave some comments, it's always really appreciated. And if you'd like to support the channel further, I will post a link to the channelscoffee.com page in the description bar below, and then a pinned comment in the comment section. So with that out the road, and to get back on to the main topic of this video. So The Colour Purple is actually a book that my best friend actually got me for my birthday back in March. So I did read it closer to when I got it for my birthday, but it's me finally getting around to doing a wee video review essay thing for my channel. And yeah, obviously it's one of those good books that I had heard so much about that I knew was pretty much a staple of American fiction, was a book that if you were wanting to kind of get into American fiction, was one to definitely read. So to get onto it, it is told in kind of diary entries, kind of letter entries, that sort of thing, right? So it's very kind of short little sections. Bits can be kind of like about a few pages long to like a page long, but that, I think all that all adds to the appeal of the story. It adds all to the atmosphere and just how it all comes across, because the book itself is pretty brutal from the get-go, and the whole aspect of it being written in diary entries or letter entries is essentially because Celie, the main character, the only way she can think of telling anyone about what's going on or what's happening to her is by writing letters to God, because she is essentially being abused by the man that she thinks is her father, and she doesn't think she has anybody she can talk to. So this becomes part of her coping mechanism, is essentially writing letters to God, thinking that that's the only way that she can get out what she's going through. And yeah, so this abuse goes on and on and on. It's repeated, and yeah, it does add to the whole kind of brutality of it, and just yeah. And actually ends up that she ends up having two children. So I think it's a girl and a boy she ends up having, and she actually ends up getting told that both of them have died. Both of them get taken off her, and all she's been told is that the children are dead, or at least one of them's dead. And yeah, so that in itself is just heartbreaking. And essentially the abuse that she ends up suffering at the hands of her supposed father ends up leading to her being this like powerless, kind of unloved character who is trapped in a loveless marriage. And it's not until Chuck, who's a singer, comes into her life, and that's when things start to change, is when Shug kind of opens her eyes and allows her to have this kind of like sexual and personal awakening. That yeah, I do kind of like the fact that even though Shug has just come into her life, or Shug Avery has just come into her life, with Celie, it's almost like she's had this like childhood crush on Shug for years, and I think that kind of ends up kind of feeding into their relationship, because I know that even though I've not seen the movie, I know that in the movie they do kind of play down the whole relationship between Shug and Celie, or Celie, I mean, that it's essentially summed up in just them having like a single kiss, when in the book it is so much more than that. And it's pretty obvious from the get-go that it is this kind of lesbian relationship, that for Celie, Shug is essentially the love of her life. Shug is the one who allows her to find her own power and realise like what her strength is, and allows her to blossom essentially. And yeah, so Shug essentially is this kind of force of power and comes into Celie's life and changes it, and it kind of forces her to move into another stage of her life. And it's through the relationship that she has with Shug that she finds her power and finds the strength to do what she needs to do with her life. Yeah, so The Colour Purple, like Augusttown by Kai Miller, one of the main themes is very much this whole idea of identity and heritage. Because it is through Shug that Celie discovers that her sister Nessie has been sending her letters, but her husband has been, Celie's husband has been hiding the letters from her. And this is part of the catalyst that forces Celie to kind of take that step and find her own way through life. And it's through these letters that she discovers that her sister Nessie has gone off to Africa to become a missionary. And it is through Nessie's work as a missionary and through her letters back to Celie that we see the racism that Nessie faces on a regular basis from the other missionaries who just happen to be white, and how the missionary organisation that she's over in Africa working with tends to focus more on the white missionaries, and talking about how the white missionaries that hadn't been able to do certain things, hadn't been able to help or protect certain African communities. It's almost as if they expect it, like African Americans, because the white ones couldn't do it, they're not going to be able to do it. So it's that kind of maybe not out blatant racism, but it's still there. It's still like racism that they have to face on a regular basis, and very much does reflect like the attitudes at the time. Because I think this is set between the wars. I think I'm guessing it's between World War I and World War II. Yeah, I think that's what it's set in the deep American South between the wars. So not too sure what wars. I don't know if it's been like the American Civil War, and yeah. So I'm guessing it's World War I and World War II. If I'm wrong, just let me know in the comments below. But the story itself that very much does come full circle at the end, when Nessie and Celie are able to reconnect, and Nessie comes home and brings Celie's children back with her. And I think kind of one of the things that does highlight the whole idea of identity and how it can be kind of complicated and a bit messy and not as simple as people may expect it to be, can again be seen through Nessie's experiences in Africa. Because even though she is a black woman and is of African descent, when she does go to Africa, the people there like still see her as being an outsider and see her as not really being one of them. And I'm pretty sure it is kind of brought up. It was like they essentially ask Nessie why she's coming back, why she's come to Africa, and it's that they're not too sure kind of why she would leave America to go back to Africa. And so again, it is very much that whole kind of look at identity and the exploration of identity, which does seem to be a kind of big theme throughout the book. And yeah, it's not an easy read. There are bits where you do kind of sit and you are kind of flinching and you are feeling uncomfortable, but I think it's one of those good books, a bit like To Kill a Mockingbird. You're being made uncomfortable at certain points in order to make a point and to drive home certain ideas and kind of essentially kind of highlight certain aspects. So I would definitely say, like, if you are kind of wanting to read some more classic American fiction, definitely get yourself a copy of The Colour Purple. Again, it's one of those good books that I should have picked up and read years ago, and it's one of those good books that I'd kept putting off, and it wasn't really until my best friend gave me the book for my birthday that I actually said, right, okay, I will have to sit down and read this now. So definitely well worth it, definitely one that I would always recommend to anyone. And even though, yeah, and it's just one of those good books that is rightfully so a classic. So that's my little talk on, or my little review on The Colour Purple by Alice Walker. And yeah, so it's kind of definitely one of the books that I have certainly enjoyed reading this year, and hopefully there'll be more to come. So hopefully you will all have enjoyed that, and I'll see you all in the next video.